Today we're going to be looking at a pretty rare and obscure Mario plushie that not many people know about. As well, this is actually a pretty old Mario plushie that I don't really see anyone talking about, so yeah, it's just a really obscure one that not many people seem to know exists. So yeah, with that said, welcome to a look at the Galson Mario plush set. Starting off with the first plush, we have the Mario. Now, the eyes and the eyebrows on this plush are made out of an iron-on material, meaning that they could get cracked and damaged. The emblem on the hat and the mustache is also made out of a felt material, meaning that they could get damaged, as well felt is just a really bad material because it could collect debris and dust pretty easily. And while the face on this plush sometimes looks really weird, as well, a lot of the times when I see this plush, it has a really round face. So yeah, it seems that a lot of the time they just shape the face really weirdly, and most of the time it just looks pretty strange. But yeah, for the body on this Mario plush, one arm is up in the air while the other one is stitched on behind him. I did find this picture of a Mario plush next to another one that has both hands up in the air, but I'm pretty sure that's just because the other hand got unstitched. As though since the other hand is stitched on behind him, meaning that it could get unstitched, meaning that if it did get unstitched it would most likely look like this, meaning that's probably not a variant. And while for the overalls on this plush, the buttons are made out of a felt material and the rest of it looks fine. The legs on this plush are just really skinny for whatever reason, which does end up making them look pretty weird, and well, the feet are also sometimes just sideways. So yeah, there's definitely a couple of problems with this Mario plush, but for a really small one, and especially for one this old, it's really not that bad. As of a lot of the Mario plushes at the time didn't really look the best, as of a lot of them looked pretty similar to this one, so it makes sense why that one looks like this, as though that's just how most of the Mario plushes looked at the time, especially when they were keychains. As though keychain plushes are just much harder to make, as though you have to fit a lot of details into a very tiny area, so that's why a lot of old keychain Mario plushes look really weird, as though there's just not a lot of space for design. But yeah, if you want this plush, you can look on websites like eBay and Mercari, but they are pretty rare and they do sell for a good amount of money. Next up we have Luigi. Now, the Luigi plush is actually just a bit taller than Mario, meaning that it actually is already off the bat pretty accurate. And while the eyes and eyebrows are basically the exact same on the Mario plush, so they're ironed on once again, meaning that they could get cracked and damaged. The mustache and emblem are once again made out of a felt material, and they're only glued on, meaning that they could get damaged pretty easily. And while unlike the Mario plush, this plush's face actually looks pretty good most of the time, and it's not really weirdly shaped. And while for the body on this plush, both of his arms are just sticking out instead of just one being stitched on the back of him, and his arms do look pretty skinny, but that does make sense as Luigi is supposed to just be a bit skinnier than Mario. And while overall they just made his legs a bit longer, they do look pretty skinny for whatever reason, so if they just stuffed them a bit more, I think it would have looked a bit better, but besides that, they got all the proportions on this plush pretty good. The buttons on the overalls could fall off because they're only glued on. Once again, they're made out of a felt material, meaning that they could collect dust and debris. And while this Luigi plush also uses a really lime green color, as a lot of the modern plushes don't use as much of a lime green color as this one did, which just makes it look a bit more unique, and I do actually like the green color that they used on it as well, but it looks pretty good. But yeah, if you want this plush, Luigi is the most common in the entire set, and I've seen him show up for sale actually a good amount of times, and there's actually a few currently for sale on websites like eBay and Mercari, so this one's actually not as hard to find, but it's still pretty expensive. Next up we have Yoshi. Now, the eyes on this plush could actually get damaged pretty easily, as though it's just made out of a really big piece of felt material, as though they cover up most of the face. Meaning that sometimes when you see this plush for sale, it will actually be missing a chunk out of its eye and the eyes will just be really cracked. So that is one big downside with this plush, but besides that, the rest of the face actually looks pretty good, as well, but seems to be pretty proportionate and is also really nicely stuffed. Though it is missing the nose on the plushes, though there is supposed to be felt material on the nose representing it like most plushes, so that is missing on it. And while there's actually just a black piece of felt material for the mouth on this plush, and while I actually think it looks pretty good, especially for a really simplistic plush. As though compared to the last two plushes that we looked at, there's really not that many details, which makes sense, as though Yoshi is overall just a pretty simplistic character. And while the only thing that I don't really like about this plush is that it's just way too skinny and way too tall. As though I feel like they should have just made this plush a bit shorter and also made it a bit wider, as though it just looks really weird. I think part of the fact is that it's standing up, as well, but I don't really like when Yoshi plushes stand up, and I think they look better sitting down like the Sine ones. But yeah, the details like the spikes on the back of the head are made out of a felt material, meaning that they could get damaged, and while the shell on the back of him is also made out of a felt material, meaning that both details could get damaged. And well, for Yoshi's tail, unlike some other early on Yoshi plushes, this one actually has a pretty defined tail as well, but it's just really nicely stuffed. So yeah, overall, most of the details on this plush could get damaged pretty easily, and a lot of them look pretty weird. And I also think that this plush is just a bit too tall and also just a bit too skinny, and overall, I just don't really like how it looks. And while this is also one of the rare plushes in the set, meaning that it will be pretty hard to find and also really expensive, but you can look on websites like eBay and Mercari. Next we have Peach. Now all the details on Peach's face are made out of an iron-on material, including the mouth, nose, and every single detail on the face is made out of an iron-on material, meaning that it could all get damaged. And while Peach's hair actually has a good amount of detail on it, the way this company did it is that they got tons of different pieces of felt material and just glued it all onto the head, which does make it look sort of weird, but on some plushes it does look pretty good. And while the crown on this plush also looks pretty good, it is missing the jewels on the crown which are supposed to be there, but besides that, it looks pretty nice. And while for the rest of the plush, it seems to be pretty nicely stuffed, and the dress is just made out of the same material as the rest of the plush, and while overall they just did a pretty good job of it, and the jewel in the middle of the dress is made out of a felt material, meaning that it could get damaged. But yeah, overall, I think most of the details on this plush actually look pretty good, and not a lot of details could get damaged besides like the pieces of the hair and also the face. And while this plush is around the same rarity as the Yoshi, so once again it will be much harder to find than some of the other plushes in the set, and it'll also cost a bit more. Now moving on, we have the Super Koopa. Now the Super Koopa is sort of a forgotten enemy, as well I don't really see anyone talking about him, but he actually has two plushes of him. And while this is one of them, and while it actually looks pretty good. Similar to Yoshi, the eyes do take up a large part of the face, meaning that they could get cracked and damaged pretty easily, and a lot of the times when you see this plush, they will be damaged. And while it also uses the exact same mouth as the Yoshi plush, so once again, it does look pretty good, and the head is overall just really nicely stuffed, and they did a nice job with it. And while this plush is sort of in a weird position, as though it just kind of is facing up, but that does make sense, as though this plush is actually supposed to be in a flying pose. As well, since the Super Koopas are meant to fly, obviously, that's the pose that this plush is going for, and well, when you look at it that way, it actually looks really nice. As well, but it actually makes sense why this plush just looks pretty weird from a normal standpoint, as well, but it's not supposed to be looked at that way, and well, when you look at it in the correct way, it actually does look really nice. And while the cape on this plush also looks pretty good, and it actually can't be undone from the neck unless if you cut it, as well, it fits perfectly around the neck, so it looks really nice. And while the rest of the plush is actually just really nicely stuffed, and overall this definitely has to be one of, if not my favorite plush in the entire set. As well, I just think it's really creative, especially because it's one of two Super Koopa plushes, and it overall just looks pretty nice. And while this is definitely one of the rarest plushes in the entire set, if not the rarest, so if you want it, you could look on eBay and Mercari, but it will be really expensive and won't show up often. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like and subscribe and comment down below which plush is your favorite, and yeah, have a great day.